The seven-member Galactic Conclave had ruled the Orion Arm for thousands of years. These alien species worked together to keep peace among the stars. From a distance, they watched Earth and its humans. They saw humans as dangerous and unpredictable, so they labeled Earth a containment world, a place to be monitored but never contacted. Admiral Kim Jae-in stood on the bridge of the HSS Prometheus, the first true warship humans had ever sent into deep space. The Prometheus was massive, a floating city of metal and energy weapons. Its hull gleamed under the light of unfamiliar stars as it pushed through space, far beyond where any human ship had gone before. What the Conclave didn't know was that humans had found one of their scout ships crashed in the Siberian wilderness 50 years ago. Working in secret, Earth's scientists had taken apart the alien technology and learned its secrets. The Prometheus was the result, bigger and more heavily armed than any vessel in the known galaxy. Navigation report, Admiral Kim said. Her voice was steady despite the tension in the air. Officer Sohn looked up from his console, face pale. Admiral, we've encountered a spatial anomaly. Our charts are showing inconsistencies. Kim frowned. The mission was supposed to be simple: travel to the edge of explored space, test the new engines, and return to Earth. Nothing had prepared them for navigation failures. Can we correct course? She asked. Working on it, but the stellar markers don't match any in our database, Sung replied. Lieutenant Park Hyun at the sensor station suddenly straightened. Sir, we're detecting multiple signatures converging on our position. The main view screen showed several points of light moving toward them from different directions. The Prometheus had stumbled into territory unknown to humans, but very much claimed by others. Admiral Kim studied the tactical display. Red dots appeared all around their position, moving in what was clearly a coordinated pattern. Her training took over despite the unprecedented situation. Hold position, she ordered. Let's not make any sudden movements that could be interpreted as hostile. The bridge crew followed her commands with professional precision, though fear showed in their eyes. They were making first contact, but not in the way anyone had planned. Across the sector in the Conclave's central meeting chamber, alarms blared. Grand Counselor Taejo rushed into the emergency session, his three eyes wide with shock. An unknown vessel has entered Sector 7. He announced to the gathered representatives. Our sensors indicate it's larger than any warship in our combined fleets. The chamber erupted in chaos. The seven species that made up the Conclave had enjoyed unchallenged dominance for so long that the idea of an outside threat seemed impossible. Display the vessel, ordered Defense Minister Dowan. The holographic projection in the center of the chamber showed a ship unlike any they had seen before. The design was alien to them, with visible weapon ports and energy signatures that suggested immense power. Where did it come from? Asked Counselor Minji, her tentacles waving in agitation. Initial analysis suggests. Taejo hesitated, checking his datapad again. Earth. The word fell like a stone into water, sending ripples of fear through the chamber. Impossible, shouted the Voth representative. The humans are primitive. They barely have functional space stations. It appears our assessment was flawed, Taejo said grimly. Very flawed. Back on the Prometheus, Admiral Kim watched as more alien ships appeared on their sensors. The vessels were smaller than her Dreadnought, but they moved with precision that spoke of advanced technology and training. They're surrounding us, Lieutenant Park reported, forming a containment pattern. Any communication attempts from them? Kim asked. Communications Officer Han shook her head. Nothing we can detect, Admiral. Kim made a decision. Open a channel on all frequencies. Let's try to talk before this gets out of hand. Han worked her console. Channel open. Admiral Kim stood straight, aware that she was about to become the first human to address an alien civilization. This is Admiral Kim Jae-in of the human spaceship Prometheus. We apologize for our unexpected presence in your territory. We experienced a navigation error and mean no harm. We request peaceful communication. The message went out in multiple formats, including mathematical sequences that scientists had theorized might serve as a universal language. Then they waited. In the conclave chamber, the human transmission played for the stunned representatives. "They speak," exclaimed Counselor Bake, "and they claim to come in peace." "A typical deception," countered Military Commander Chunho. "Look at their ship. It's a planet killer. They didn't build something like that for peaceful exploration." Defense Minister Dowan studied the transmission data. "The language is simple, but the technology that carried it to us is sophisticated. They're using quantum communication methods that match our own." "How is that possible?" asked Minji. "Our reports indicated they were at least a century from such developments." The answer came from an unexpected source. Science Director Yuna, who had remained silent until now, accessed the central database. "I believe I know," she said quietly. 50 Earth years ago, we lost contact with Scout Ship 17 while it was observing their northern territories. We assumed it was destroyed by a solar flare. Realization dawned on the council members' faces. "They found it," Taejo whispered. "They found our technology and reverse-engineered it. In just 50 years," added Yuna, "a process that took our ancestors centuries." The implications were staggering. If humans could advance so quickly, what else were they capable of? "We should destroy them now," Commander Chunho declared, "while we have the advantage of numbers." "And if they have more ships," countered Minji. "If this is merely the first, we would start a war we might not win." As the conclave debated, Admiral Kim and her crew waited in tense silence. The alien vessels maintained their position, neither advancing nor retreating. "No response yet," Han reported. "Keep the channel open," Kim ordered, "and run a full diagnostic on the navigation system. I want to know exactly how we ended up here." The ship's AI displayed a star chart on the main screen, highlighting their position relative to known space. They had somehow traveled nearly twice as far as planned, crossing an invisible boundary into territory claimed by an advanced civilization. It wasn't just a navigation error. Engineering Chief Juwu reported from below decks. "Something pulled us off course. Some kind of spatial distortion I've never seen before." As they spoke, the alien vessels began to emit complex energy patterns. "They're scanning us," Lieutenant Park announced. "Very thorough scans." Admiral Kim felt the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. One wrong move could start an interstellar war before Earth even knew other civilizations existed. "Let them look," she said. "We have nothing to hide." Little did she know that across the void, the Galactic Conclave was reaching the most frightening conclusion in its long history. Humanity was no longer contained, and the galaxy would never be the same. Grand Arbiter Tavo paced the circular chamber where the Conclave Council gathered for emergencies. The room had been designed thousands of years ago, with 7 distinct sections, one for each species of the Alliance. Today, every section was filled as representatives arrived through various entrances designed for their unique biologies. "This meeting will come to order," Taiho announced, his voice amplified by the chamber's perfect acoustics. His blue skin reflected the light from the central holographic display, which showed the human vessel from multiple angles. The representatives quieted immediately, sensing the gravity of the situation. In the millennia of the Conclave's existence, never had an outside power entered their space with such a formidable ship. "Our intelligence confirms the vessel is of human origin," announced Taiho, triggering visible reactions among the counselors. The bird-like Avari representatives ruffled their feathers. The crystalline luminar dimmed their natural glow. The massive Dorn representatives shifted uncomfortably, making their section of the chamber creak. "Impossible." Counselor Yun leaned forward, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Our containment protocols have failed," interrupted Warden Sunwoo of the Defense Directorate, stepping forward from the shadows. His military uniform bore the marks of many campaigns, though the Conclave had faced no real threats for generations. And now they're here with a warship that outclasses our entire defense fleet. The chamber erupted into overlapping conversations. Some counselors demanded immediate military action. Others called for caution and diplomacy. Silence, commanded Tayo, striking his staff against the floor. We must approach this methodically. The holographic display shifted to show scans of the human vessel's internal systems. The level of detail was impressive, evidence of how thoroughly the Conclave forces had analyzed the intruder. The vessel is called Prometheus, explained Intelligence Director Juan. In human mythology, Prometheus was a being who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humans. An apt name for those who stole our technology, muttered Sunwoo. Counselor Yun studied the scans. How many weapons does it carry? More than our 3 largest battle cruisers combined, Juan replied. And energy shields that appear to use principles we abandoned as inefficient centuries ago. Yet somehow they've made them work better than ours. On the main screen, they watched the human vessel holding position, making no aggressive moves despite being surrounded by Conclave ships. They claimed their arrival was accidental, Tahoe said. A navigation error. Do you believe that? Asked Daho's representative, Counselor Kwan. The Daho were the most militaristic of the 7 species, and they viewed every situation as a potential combat scenario. It doesn't matter what I believe, Tahoe replied. What matters is what we do next. Aboard the HMS Prometheus, Admiral Kim Jae-in stood before the communications array, recording another message to the alien fleet surrounding her ship. This is Admiral Kim of the HMS Prometheus. We continue to seek peaceful dialogue. We have no hostile intentions. Please respond. She nodded to Communications Officer Han, who sent the message on all frequencies. Nothing, Han reported after a minute. Same as the last 5 attempts. Kim frowned. They must be receiving our transmissions. Keep trying. She turned to the tactical display, studying the alien vessel's positions. They had formed a perfect containment sphere around the Prometheus, maintaining exact distances from each other. Impressive formation flying, she remarked. Their coordination suggests a shared tactical database, possibly with AI oversight. Admiral, engineering reports, Lieutenant Park said, holding out a datapad. Kim took it and read quickly, her expression darkening. Get Chief Engineer Lee up here. Minutes later, Chief Engineer Lee Minho arrived on the bridge, his uniform showing signs of his work in the engine compartment. Talk to me, Chief, Kim said. How bad is it? Lee ran a hand through his hair. The spatial anomaly that pulled us off course did more damage than we thought. The drive core containment field is destabilizing. Can you fix it? Lee hesitated. Yes, but it's not simple. We need to shut down the core completely, recalibrate the field generators, and restart the system. We need at least 6 hours. Kim processed this information. 6 hours stranded in alien territory with unknown, potentially hostile forces surrounding them. Do what you need to do, she ordered. We can't risk a core breach. As Lee departed, Kim turned back to the tactical display. This is going to look like a deliberate maneuver to them. They'll think we're settling in. In the Conclave Council chamber, alarms suddenly sounded. The human vessel is powering down its engines, reported a technician. Energy signatures dropping across all systems. They're preparing to attack, shouted Counselor Kwan, slamming his fist on the table. Or they could be experiencing technical difficulties, countered Juan. Our scans detected instabilities in their power core. Warden Sunwoo stepped to the center of the chamber. It doesn't matter. This is our opportunity. With their power systems offline, we can neutralize the threat before they can respond. Tahoe raised his hand for silence. We will not attack without provocation. That has been the foundation of the Conclave for thousands of years. These are humans, Sunwoo argued. The containment protocols exist because their psychology is unpredictable, their history violent. They solve problems through conflict, not diplomacy. The Daho representatives nodded in agreement. As a species, they had always pushed for stronger military responses to any potential threat. I propose a vote, Counselor Kwan announced. We have the authority to order preemptive defense measures. Tahoe's expression hardened. You would risk interstellar war based on fear. I would protect the Conclave by eliminating a clear danger, Quan replied. Who knows how many more of these dreadnoughts they have? This could be the advance scout. The chamber divided along familiar lines. The Daho and their traditional allies called for military action. The more diplomatic factions urged caution and communication. Meanwhile, on the Prometheus, Chief Engineer Lee directed his team in the delicate process of shutting down the drive core. Containment field at 30%, reported his assistant. Core temperature dropping. Good, Lee said. Keep it steady. Any fluctuation could trigger a cascade failure. The ship had switched to auxiliary power, running on stored energy while its main systems were offline. The lights dimmed to conserve power, giving the corridors an eerie atmosphere. On the bridge, Admiral Kim watched the alien vessels, noticing subtle changes in their formation. They're adjusting, she observed. Tightening the perimeter. Should we power up weapons? Asked Tactical Officer Yuri. Kim shook her head. No, that would send exactly the wrong message. We maintain our current posture, peaceful and non-threatening. She didn't say what everyone was thinking. If the aliens attacked while they were vulnerable, the Prometheus would still fight, and the resulting conflict would be the first interstellar war in human history. Back in the conclave chamber, the debate had grown heated. The vote stands at 3 for containment, 3 for preemptive action, announced Tahoe. As arbiter, I cast the deciding vote for containment and communication. Warden Sunwoo's face flushed with anger. You risk everything on the assumption that humans can be reasoned with. I risk everything on the principles that have guided us for millennia, Tahoe replied. We are not executioners. Unknown to both the humans and the conclave leadership, Commander Doyen of the Daho military had already positioned his 3 fastest attack ships just outside the containment formation. He had his orders, not from the Council, but from the Daho High Command. The humans had entered conclave space with a weapon of unprecedented power. Such a threat could not be allowed to exist, regardless of what the Council decided. As the Prometheus's main power dropped to minimum levels for the core recalibration, Commander Doyen sent a simple command to his attack squadron. Execute. The conclave ships moved with perfect coordination, surrounding the human vessel like predators circling wounded prey. 30 warships of various designs formed a sphere around the Prometheus, their weapons systems humming with energy, but not yet locked on target. The containment protocol was standard procedure. Isolate the threat, assess capabilities, and wait for orders. From her command chair on the Prometheus, Admiral Kim watched the alien vessels on the main view screen. Each ship was smaller than her Dreadnought, but together they presented a formidable force. The bridge was quieter than usual, the crew tense but focused on their duties. Any response to our communications? Kim asked. Communications Officer Han shook her head. Nothing official, Admiral. But we're picking up a lot of chatter between their ships. Our translation software is working on it. Kim nodded. Their situation remained precarious. With the main drive offline for repairs, they couldn't escape if things went badly. She tapped her console, opening a channel to engineering. Status report, Chief Lee. Deep in the ship's engineering section, Chief Engineer Lee Minho wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked inside the drive core housing. Around him, his team carefully adjusted the massive components that allowed the ship to bend space itself. We're making progress, Admiral, he replied. The containment field stabilizers are aligned. We're starting to reinstall the quantum regulators now. 4 hours remaining, maybe 3 if everything goes perfectly. Understood. Keep at it. Kim closed the channel and returned her attention to the alien fleet. Let's try again, she decided. Open all channels. The bridge crew watched as she stood, straightened her uniform, and addressed the unknown aliens once more. This is Admiral Kim Jo-yeon of the HS Prometheus. We come in peace and apologize for our unexpected arrival in your territory. Our navigation system malfunctioned. We request temporary safe harbor while we conduct repairs. The message went out, translated into mathematical sequences that would hopefully convey their peaceful intentions regardless of language barriers. In the Conclave Council chamber, Grand Arbiter Tahoe and the representatives watched the human transmission. She says the same thing each time, noted Counselor Yun. Consistency suggests truth. Or a well-rehearsed lie, countered Warden Sunwoo. I still say we should neutralize the threat while their ship is vulnerable. Tahoe raised his hand for silence. The Council has voted. We will maintain containment and attempt communication once our linguists finish their analysis. Not everyone accepted this decision. Commander Jun of the Tahoe forces watched from the bridge of his warship, the Resolute, with growing impatience. The Tahoe had always been the Conclave's warriors, the shield against external threats. In his view, the Council's caution was putting them all at risk. He turned to his second-in-command. The humans are clever. They appear to show weakness, but it's a trap. They're stalling while they repair their systems. Our orders are to maintain position, Commander, his officer reminded him. Jun's expression hardened. Sometimes, protection requires action when others hesitate. Prepare attack sequence Alpha 7. Target their sensor arrays and communication systems only. Sir, that's against the Council's. The Council is not here, Jun interrupted. I will take full responsibility. For the safety of the Conclave. His crew obeyed, though some exchanged worried glances. The Resolute and two supporting vessels broke formation slightly, maneuvering to create better firing angles. On the Prometheus, Tactical Officer Yuri suddenly straightened in her chair. Admiral, I'm detecting energy spikes from 3 vessels at coordinates 227 Mark 43. Looks like weapon systems powering up. Kim's expression remained calm, though her mind raced through options. Alert status. Passive defensive systems online. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, activating systems that had never before been used outside of testing. Unlike the offensive weapons, the defensive systems could function on auxiliary power. They're targeting our communication array and sensor installations, Yuri reported. Precision strike pattern. Before Kim could respond, the alien ships fired. Brilliant beams of energy streaked across space toward the Prometheus, followed by a barrage of what appeared to be guided projectiles. Incoming fire, multiple projectiles, shouted Yuri, her voice rising despite her training. Kim's decision came instantly. Defensive measures only. No return fire. The Prometheus's outer hull shimmered as energy shields activated, technology reverse-engineered from the crashed alien ship, but significantly improved by human scientists. The enemy beams struck the shields and dispersed in spectacular displays of light. Automated point defense lasers tracked the incoming missiles, firing with superhuman precision. Each projectile detonated safely away from the hull, creating small bright explosions that illuminated the Dreadnought like festival fireworks. Not a single attack reached the Prometheus's hull. In the Conclave Council chamber, alarms blared as the attack registered on their monitors. The holographic display showed the battle in real time, and gasps filled the room as they witnessed the Prometheus's defenses in action. Who authorized this? Tahoe demanded, his voice shaking with rage. The Tahoe vessels acted independently, reported a technician. Commander Jun's task force. Everyone watched, expecting the human ship to retaliate with devastating force. The scan data had shown weapon systems that could easily destroy the attacking vessels. But no counterattack came. They're not firing back, Counselor Yun said, amazement in her voice. Their defensive capabilities are extraordinary, yet they show restraint. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the chamber. The humans could have destroyed Commander Jun's ships, but chose not to. On the Resolute, Commander Jun stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Impossible. No vessel has defenses that advanced. Prepare second attack wave. Full power to weapons. Sir, his second-in-command protested. They could have destroyed us, but didn't. Perhaps we should. They're toying with us. June snapped, showing off their technology to intimidate us. It won't work. Fire everything. The Resolute's weapons charged again, joined by its companion vessels. This time, they targeted the Prometheus's propulsion systems. On the Prometheus's bridge, Yuri reported the new threat. They're coming around for another attack. Different targeting pattern. Admiral Kim's expression hardened slightly. Same response. Defensive measures only. Admiral. Tactical Officer Yuri said hesitantly. A single precision strike could disable their weapons without destroying their ships. No return fire, Kim repeated firmly. We're not here to start a war. The second attack was more intense than the first. The Daho ships fired everything they had, creating a dazzling light show as the Prometheus's defenses dealt with each threat. Energy shields flared brightly, spreading the impact across their surface. Point defense systems worked flawlessly, creating a protective net around the massive ship. Again, not a single shot was fired in return. In the council chamber, the representatives watched in stunned silence. The human ship's restraint was unmistakable. This changes everything, Tahoe said quietly. They could destroy our fleet, yet they choose peace. Warden Sunwoo, who had advocated for military action, looked shaken. Their technology is beyond anything we anticipated. Those defenses. And they've had it all along, added Counselor Yun. While we thought they were primitive, they were building this. The council members began to argue among themselves. Some saw the humans' restraint as proof of peaceful intentions. Others viewed it as a calculated move, a psychological tactic to divide the conclave. Tahoe raised his hands for silence. This unauthorized attack has created a diplomatic crisis, but also an opportunity. The humans have shown both technological superiority and remarkable restraint. I believe direct communication is now our best course. I volunteer to establish contact, said a voice from the edge of the chamber. Everyone turned to see Counselor Jinwoo of the Star Collective, known for his diplomatic skills. Their actions speak clearly, Jinwoo continued. They could have responded with force, but chose peace. I believe they truly mean what they say. As the council debated this new proposal, Commander June stared at the undamaged human vessel, his plans in ruins, and his career likely over. He had gambled that a swift attack would expose the human's weakness. Instead, he had revealed the Conclave's vulnerability to this new power that had suddenly appeared in their midst. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in a single day, and no one knew what would come next. Arbiter Jinwoo sat alone in his private communication chamber aboard the diplomatic vessel Swiftwind. The small ship had detached from the Conclave fleet and moved closer to the human Dreadnought. His 3 hearts beat rapidly as he prepared to make contact. If his superiors knew what he was planning, he would be removed from his position immediately. But someone had to take action before the situation spiraled further out of control. He activated the secure quantum channel, directing it specifically to the human vessel. The transmission would be untraceable by the rest of the Conclave fleet. This is Arbiter Jinwoo of the Star Collective, representing the Galactic Conclave. I wish to speak directly with your commander. On the Prometheus, Communications Officer Han looked up in surprise. Admiral, we're receiving a direct transmission. It's on a secure channel. Admiral Kim Jae-in moved quickly to Han's station. Put it through. The face that appeared on the screen was unlike anything humans had seen before. Arbiter Jinwoo had pale blue skin with faint luminescent patterns. His eyes were large and silver, with no visible pupils. Despite his alien appearance, his expression conveyed a clear sense of concern. I am Admiral Kim Jae-in of the HSS Prometheus. Thank you for contacting us. Jinwoo studied the human carefully before speaking. Your restraint is unexpected, he admitted through the secure channel. Commander June's attack was not authorized. The Conclave Council did not approve any military action against your vessel. We understand, replied Kim, her voice calm. We don't wish for conflict. Jinwoo seemed to relax slightly. May I ask why you entered Conclave space? Your explanation of a navigation error seems convenient. Admiral Kim nodded. I understand your skepticism. The truth is complicated. She paused, making a decision that would change humanity's relationship with the stars forever. Arbiter Jinwoo, would you be willing to come aboard the Prometheus? I believe a face-to-face meeting would be more productive. The alien's silver eyes widened. You would allow a representative of the conclave onto your vessel, while we have you surrounded. As a show of good faith, yes, Kim said. You may bring security if you wish, though no weapons will be permitted on board. After a moment's hesitation, Jinwoo agreed. I will arrive in 1 hour. News of the meeting spread quickly through both fleets. On the Conclave Council, opinions were divided. Some saw it as a trap, others as an opportunity. Commander Jun, now confined to quarters for his unauthorized attack, warned anyone who would listen that the humans would take Jinwoo hostage. When the time came, a small shuttle departed from the swift wind and approached the Prometheus. The massive human ship dwarfed the alien craft, making it look like a toy as it entered the docking bay. Admiral Kim, along with a small honor guard, waited as the shuttle's door opened. Arbiter Jinwoo emerged, accompanied by 2 aides. They moved gracefully despite the slightly higher gravity of the human ship. Welcome to the Prometheus, Kim said, making the traditional human gesture of a slight bow. Jinwoo attempted to mimic the gesture. Thank you for your hospitality, Admiral. They walked through the corridors of the ship, Jinwoo's eyes taking in everything. Your vessel is impressive. It's our first true deep space warship, Kim explained, though that's not its only purpose. They entered a conference room where refreshments had been prepared, including special options suitable for the Arbiter's biology. Once seated, Kim decided to be direct. Arbiter Jinwoo, the truth is that humans have known about the Conclave for decades. The alien's expression showed clear shock. That's impossible. Our containment protocols were effective until 50 years ago, Kim finished for him. When one of your scout ships crashed on our planet, we recovered the technology and learned not just about faster-than-light travel, but about the wider galaxy, including the Conclave. Jinwoo sat back, processing this information. Why reveal yourselves now? And with such a formidable vessel? Admiral Kim smiled slightly. The Prometheus isn't just a warship. It carries an embassy module and trade proposals. She tapped a control, and a holographic display appeared, showing detailed plans for a human diplomatic station and economic exchange programs. We've been preparing for first contact for years, she continued. Our arrival in your space was indeed an accident. The navigation error was real, but perhaps a fortunate one. It forced both our civilizations to face each other directly. Jinwoo studied the plans with growing interest. These are quite detailed. You've put considerable thought into peaceful relations. Because we don't want war, Kim said simply. Earth has had enough of that in our own history. She tapped another control, and new information appeared. We've already established peaceful alliances with the Hana Federation and Minja Coalition beyond your borders. Jinwoo froze, his silver eyes fixed on the data packets showing treaty agreements, trade records, and diplomatic exchanges with species the Conclave had never encountered. That's not possible, he whispered. The Conclave controls all civilization in this sector of the galaxy. The galaxy is bigger than you know, Kim said gently. The Conclave is powerful, yes, but not all-encompassing. There are other civilizations, other alliances. The revelation struck Jinwoo like a physical blow. For thousands of years, the Conclave had believed itself to be the pinnacle of galactic civilization, the only significant power in the stars. Now, in a single meeting, that belief had been shattered. Our historians will need to revise many assumptions, he said finally. As the meeting continued, Jinwoo's aides transmitted approved portions back to the Conclave Council. The reaction was immediate. Some counselors demanded verification, others called for an emergency session, but all recognized that their understanding of the galaxy had been fundamentally challenged. Hours later, as tensions eased between the two sides, Jinwoo made a decision. "There is something we should share with you as well, Admiral. A truth about humanity that even you may not know." He produced a small device that projected ancient text and images. Our archives contain records dating back nearly 50,000 years. They speak of a race called the Founders, who seeded multiple worlds with life forms of their design. "You're talking about genetic engineering on a planetary scale," Kim said, leaning forward with interest. "Yes, and according to these records, humans were one of their most ambitious projects." Jinwoo's expression became solemn. "You were originally meant to be bred as warrior slaves by this now extinct precursor race." The conference room fell silent as the implications sank in. "That would explain certain anomalies in human evolutionary history," said Dr. Seo, the Prometheus's chief science officer. "The rapid development of our cognitive abilities, our unusual physical endurance, our aggressive tendencies paired with advanced empathy. You were designed to be perfect soldiers," Jinwoo explained. "Aggressive when needed, but capable of complex strategy and adaptation. The Founders wanted warriors who could think independently on the battlefield." "What happened to them?" Kim asked. "According to the records, they were destroyed in a war with another ancient species. Their projects, including Earth, were abandoned. You developed naturally after that, but your basic design remained." Admiral Kim absorbed this information with remarkable composure. "So humanity's warlike history, our drive to compete and conquer, are partly the result of your designed purpose," Jinwoo finished. "But you've overcome those tendencies, built civilizations, created art and philosophy. You evolved beyond your original programming." The revelation was profound. Humanity had always wondered about its place in the universe. Now they had an answer, though not one anyone had expected. "This information changes nothing about our desire for peaceful relations," Kim said finally. "Perhaps it even makes it more significant. We were created for war, but we choose peace." Jinwoo nodded, a gesture he had learned from watching the humans. "The Conclave has much to reconsider. Our understanding of humans, of the galaxy itself, has been transformed today." As they concluded their meeting, both leaders knew that nothing would be the same. The Conclave had discovered it was not alone in the galaxy. Humanity had learned its origins were more complex than imagined. And two civilizations that might have begun as enemies now had the chance to become allies. In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Lee finally reported success. The drive core was repaired. The Prometheus could leave at any time, but now there was no rush to depart. The Galactic Conclave's Grand Chamber had never been so full. Representatives from all 7 species crowded their designated sections, with aides and advisors filling every available space. The vote was about to begin. Grand Arbiter Teho stood at the center, his ceremonial robes gleaming under the chamber's lights. "We will now vote on Resolution 7329. Formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign galactic power and the establishment of diplomatic relations." One by one, the representatives cast their votes. The Luminar, whose crystalline bodies shimmered with inner light, voted unanimously in favor. The bird-like Avari split their vote, but a majority supported the resolution. The massive Dorn voted cautiously for approval. The pattern continued across the remaining species. Only the Deho showed significant resistance, with 2/3 of their representatives voting against. Their military culture viewed humanity as a threat rather than a potential ally. When the final tally appeared, a clear majority had approved the resolution. The chamber that had earlier been filled with fear now buzzed with cautious optimism. "The resolution passes," announced Tahoe. "The Galactic Conclave officially recognizes humanity as a sovereign power with all rights and responsibilities thereof." On the observation deck of the Prometheus, Admiral Kim Jae-in stood before a large viewport that showed the stars beyond. The ship had moved to a neutral position, no longer surrounded by the Conclave fleet, but still within their space. Beside her stood Arbiter Jinwoo, representing the Conclave. Between them was a simple table bearing two documents, identical treaties written on specially prepared materials that would last for centuries. The Human Conclave Accord, as it was called, created a framework for cooperation, established boundaries, and outlined processes for resolving future disputes. A small group of officers from both sides watched as Admiral Kim lifted a pen and signed her name to both copies. Jinwoo followed, using a writing instrument adapted for his three-fingered hand. "This marks a new chapter for both our peoples," said Kim, looking up from the signed documents. Jinwoo nodded, though not everyone shares our enthusiasm for partnership. His words carried a subtle warning. During the negotiations, he had been honest about the divisions within the conclave. While most species accepted the new reality, others resisted. "The Daho military faction is particularly concerned," he continued quietly. "They see your technology as a threat to the balance of power that has existed for millennia." "We understand," Kim replied. "Change is never easy. Earth's history is full of similar situations." What neither mentioned openly was that Commander Jun, despite being censured for his unauthorized attack, had not been removed from his position. The Daho leadership had protected him, claiming his actions, while premature, came from a place of loyalty to the conclave. Later that evening, in his private quarters aboard the Prometheus, Lieutenant Park Hyun reviewed intelligence reports from their new conclave allies. The data confirmed what they had suspected. The Daho were already preparing for potential conflict, increasing production at their military shipyards and recalling vessels from distant patrols. He brought this information to Admiral Kim, who studied it calmly. "Not unexpected," she said. "We'll monitor the situation, but we won't let the actions of one faction derail what we've accomplished here." The following days were filled with diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, and technical discussions. Humans learned about the complex biology of the conclave species, while the aliens marveled at human art, music, and literature. Chief Engineer Lee Minho found himself surrounded by curious conclave engineers, all eager to understand how humans had improved upon their technology. "Your approach to shield harmonics is fascinating," said a Luminar engineer, her crystalline form glowing with excitement. "We abandoned that line of research centuries ago because of energy inefficiency problems. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps," Lee replied with a smile. "We had to find creative solutions with limited resources." This pattern repeated across every department. The humans had taken alien technology and, through necessity and innovation, developed it in ways the conclave had never considered. Meanwhile, Commander Jun of the Daho forces watched these exchanges with growing alarm. In his quarters aboard the Daho flagship, he met with like-minded officers. "They're giving away our technological secrets," he hissed. 3,000 years of conclave advancement handed over to these newcomers. "The Council has approved the knowledge exchange," one officer reminded him. "The Council is blind to the threat," Jun replied. "But we are not. Continue preparations." Quietly. 3 weeks after first contact, the Prometheus prepared to depart. The ship's main drive core was fully repaired, and its mission, now expanded far beyond its original parameters, was complete. It would return to Earth-bearing treaties, technological exchange agreements, and the promise of a new era. On the observation deck, Admiral Kim held a final meeting with Arbiter Jinwoo. "A delegation from Earth will arrive within 3 months," she said. "They'll establish the permanent embassy we discussed. We'll be ready to receive them," Jinwoo assured her. "And I hope to visit your world someday." "You'll be welcome," Kim replied. "All of you will be." As they said their goodbyes, both leaders knew that the path ahead would not be easy. Centuries of isolation and assumptions would not disappear overnight. There would be misunderstandings, tensions, and challenges. But the foundation had been laid for something new. The Prometheus departed conclave space with a small honor guard of alien vessels escorting it to the border. As the last conclave ship peeled away, the human vessel engaged its main drive, creating a brilliant flash of light as it accelerated beyond conventional speeds. 3 days later, the Prometheus entered Earth's solar system. As the blue-green planet came into view on the main screen, a spontaneous cheer broke out among the crew. They were home, and they brought with them the knowledge that humanity was not alone in the universe. In her private quarters, Admiral Kim sat at her desk and activated the recording function. Captain's log, final entry for mission CR7. She began. What began as a navigation error has reshaped the galactic political landscape. Humanity is no longer alone, no longer isolated. Whether this leads to lasting peace or future conflict remains to be seen, but we have taken our place among the stars. She paused, looking at the small piece of alien technology on her desk, a gift from Arbiter Jinwu. It projected a holographic map of the galaxy, showing not just the Conclave's territory, but also the regions controlled by the Hana Federation, the Minja Coalition, and dozens of other civilizations humans would soon encounter. We've learned that we're part of something larger than we ever imagined, she continued. Not just many species, but many alliances, many cultures. The galaxy is more complex and more wonderful than we knew. She ended the recording and prepared for the debriefings that would follow their arrival. Earth's leaders would need to understand everything that had happened and what it meant for humanity's future. Across the galaxy, the ripples of first contact spread. The Conclave's internal power dynamics were fundamentally altered, as the 7 races realized they must adapt to humanity's emergence or risk obsolescence in a rapidly changing galaxy. In a secret facility on the Daho homeworld, new warships were already under construction, designed specifically to counter human technology. On Earth, scientists began studying the technological exchanges, finding new applications that would transform human society. And in the vast spaces between stars, other civilizations received word that the balance of power had shifted again. Some saw opportunity, others danger. All understood that the arrival of humanity on the galactic stage had changed everything. The story that had begun with a navigation error was just the first chapter in a much larger tale that would unfold across the stars for centuries to come. The end.